We are back for day, I don't know, I've lost count, like day what, 10? Working on an Nismo. So what are we gonna do today? We are going to install the oil pan spacer, and we're gonna hopefully get to the vacuum block, and then we're gonna try to wire up the blow-off valve along with the wastegates. But we kind of got two things going on at once. We got this guy working on his car, installing these carbon fenders. But there's just one issue. They're not fitting to his liking. So he picked up the hood, but he got these fenders and they're not fitting as he would like them to.
It's not bad. It's like this, that's all fine.
You guys know how carbon is. It never fits the way it's supposed to.
This is fine.
So what's not fitting to your liking?
So this is, I could deal with this gap and this gap. That's carbon.
Yeah.
Now we gotta work on this. Show them from over here.
Oh shit. So
that's supposed to be like that.
yeah. Well, how is it gonna fit?
Exactly.
There's nothing holding that down there, huh?
No, there's only this right here. So if I push that down, it only brings it down so much.
Yeah.
That's the most right there. And there's still a gap.
Oh. Yeah, that's.
It's just, I know carbon will be it won't fit right. That's just how carbon. That's the way it is.
Yeah, literally.
But me and him are perfectionists, and
that's
doesn't fly.
I mean, that looks good. If you can have it sit right there, because this is a consistent gap. So you know what I mean, like that's okay.
But that's after how long?
Yeah,
2 hours.
It's like 2 hours. Yeah. Back to our install. So this is gonna be the oil pan spacer. So there are two reasons why we picked this up. One reason is it's technically supposed to cool the oil just a little bit more, just because there's more oil that it's going to be holding inside of the oil pan. That's one reason. The other reason is it actually has a tap on the side of it for our oil drain for the turbo. So that is actually going to help us out tremendously. Also comes with a spacer for the oil pickup, because of course since we're adding a quart, the oil pickup has to sit a little lower. Everything that we need comes with it, so we're going to go ahead and get to that. Only thing with this is, of course, we're taking off the oil pan, so it might get a little messy, but we also got some RTV to kind of seal that off once we're done with it. So the oil pan is located right here. I'm grateful that this is not hard to take off. It's literally like 10 millimeter bolts all around the oil pan. We loosen those and oil pan comes off. We put the spacer on, put it back on, and that's it. I mean, it sounds easy. That's because it should be easy. You see me with the angles, man? You see me? Oh, can't get to that one.
Why?
That's no bueno.
You need an extension?
Kind of.
Oh. That's how you know it's not that tight, if that gun could take it off.
What you trying to say? My gun weak as hell?
No, hey!
What?
Why would you even try that?
What do you mean?
You need a swivel. Back to the store we go.
I'm not going to the store, just no damn swivel.
So you're gonna strip it?
Is that what they call it? I got jokes for days.
He's voluntarily gonna strip.
Hey, shh.
Then he's gonna have to drill out that hole.
You talking the most smack,
the hole every time, like Alex is close.
Sus. Alright, I got that last bolt off. Because I'm good, duh. Question is, how I'm gonna separate this? Hella.
You wanna wrestle?
What?
Crack shot,
Crack always shot, man.
I hate wearing Chinese that barely fit.
What? Somebody get my man some.
Hey.
What?
You're hella thin.
No, I'm not.
Bruh.
I don't have a choice. What do you want me to do? If I see paper in here, I'm gonna cry. Oh! God!
Go ahead, rip the rest.
Freaking fudge nuts. You see any paper?
Wait, what is that?
What?
What is that?
Oh, it's the glue.
Bro, I did an oil change. And you're telling me that's how much oil we reuse every time?
Yes. Hey, I see no paper though. I'll explain that in a minute what that means, guys.
You guys ever work on your car on the ground? This is a good pillow.
They don't know nothing about that though. So just to kind of explain the whole, there's no paper inside of the oil pan. So the reason why we say that is because, like I explained in a previous video with you guys, these cars are notorious for blowing what they call, what do they call it again? Gallery gaskets. They're known for blowing gallery gaskets because if the gallery gaskets fail, the oil pressure will drop and we will have a high risk of blowing the engine. But I see that there is no paper. It is a hit or miss. On the older ones, like the DEs, like the 350s, it was like a known thing. Like you would have to do it. Like there was no questions about it. But these, they're kind of like a hit and miss. I've heard, you know, the people that have had them, there's just as much people that has had to change them as people who didn't have to change them. So we're gonna go ahead and clean up this oil pan. We're gonna get all of this sealant off on the edges, and then we'll install the spacer and be done with this install. Went ahead and scraped all of the old sealant off of the oil pan, and we cleaned it, so everything's looking solid. We use a razor, so that's why you kind of see like some of the actual paint coming off, but it's clean, it's nice and smooth, everything's good on there. And then we gotta do the same thing on the engine side. So as you guys can see, that is extremely clean. All of this is nice and smooth, the sealant's off. So that is going to be the oil pickup that gets installed on the engine side. So basically what we have to do is we have to install this spacer on there, and this drops it down low enough so it kind of accommodates the spacer itself for the oil pan. So once we get it inside of the car, it's gonna look something like this. So we're gonna screw it up, and then the spacer kind of just brings it down just a little bit. So we got that back on with the spacer. Now, it is time to get this on with the spacer for the oil pan. So I put the sealant onto the oil pan and then put the spacer on top. You can see I created a wall inside because I don't want no leaks. So right now we're gonna put this whole thing up to the engine and screw it in, and this will be done. Looks good though. Our oil pan is all up and mounted. So we're gonna wait to tighten the bolts. It says it's supposed to dry for an hour before you tighten the bolts or torque them down. But our oil drain for the turbo is gonna go right there on the side. Well, it's been more than 24 hours since we sealed off the oil pan with the spacer. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna work on plumbing the turbo. So we have the oil feed line, which we're gonna install on the top, and then we have the oil drain, which is right here. This gets ran to the oil pan. So what we'll do is we'll run out to the oil pan and then we'll go ahead and tighten it off since it's been like 24 hours since we sealed it off. So it should be good to go as far as tightening it up. So where we're actually gonna get our oil feed line is gonna be from the oil filter housing. So that oil pressure sender right there, we're gonna have to unscrew this. Let's actually see if I can point it. So this guy right here, we're gonna unscrew that. We're gonna install this fitting right here in between the two, because the thing is, in order to actually install the oil feed line, there has to be some sort of pressure. So we're gonna tap it in right there and then run it up to the turbo. But we got the pan all tidied up. We went ahead and plumbed the turbo too. So we have the oil feed on top, and then we have the oil drain on the bottom. So like I was telling you guys, the oil drain actually goes to the spacer that we installed. It actually hooks up to the bottom of the turbo. You can't really see because it's in there, but it hooks up to the bottom of the turbo. And the reason being is because, again, this is oil feed. So once you turn the car off and, you know, everything stops moving, the oil gets drained from the turbo. So it goes down, it gets hooked up all the way to the oil pan, like I was telling you guys. So that was one of the ports that's open on the oil pan spacer. And then the oil feed actually gets hooked up right there to the oil sender sensor. It gets teed off. Let's see if I can show you guys. It's a little tight in here, so it's kind of hard to show you. But this is actually it was a little pain to install just because there's not really any room in here, and everything's like at an angle or too big, so you kind of have to like do things one by one. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, so it's right here. It gets teed off with the oil sender sensor, and that runs straight up to the turbo. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna hook up the blow valve and possibly the two wastegates. I have a vacuum block, basically just a distribution block. So what it is you have one major source that feeds all the little small sources. Like for example, we have the blow valve that's gonna go here, we have the boost gauge that's gonna go here. But the thing with the wastegates is a little further in depth than just the blow valve, how we just running the line. So this is our boost solenoid. So the diagram that you see on the screen right now is what we have to follow to install this guy. It's like I said, it's a little further in depth than just the blow valve, how we run the vacuum line. But to me, this is gonna be the fun part. This is what I'm excited about. blow-off valve, wastegates, the exhaust, and the gauges. That's the fun part of the build for me. So blow-off valves all ran. So we got it coming down here, of course, going up. And we have it coming over here where the pipe is at, coming up. And then it's ran the same way as the main source is, and it's coming right over here. I have to put this right here so that doesn't bend. Next are the wastegates. So I kind of sort of have it figured out. So basically what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna somewhat delete the evap system. So this is the evap solenoid. We have to unplug that plug, and when I ordered this boost solenoid, I ordered it with a, I'm gonna call it a T-harness already attached. So basically what that does is instead of splicing it in, it just plugs right in. So I reached out to admin, the one that's actually gonna be tuning this car, and he stated that we do not have to touch the evap system at all. All we have to do is unplug this harness from the solenoid. We're gonna plug it up to our boost solenoid, and that's it. Of course, we're gonna hook up our wastegates to that solenoid. I already went to the store and got the T connectors that we need to hook up both wastegates together. So we got those right here. Since we're running two wastegates, of course, we gotta hook them up together. So I'm gonna try to make this simple and just do the connections for the wastegates down here. So what I mean by that is we have to T the two wastegates together, right? So we have the top port and the bottom port. So I'm gonna T the top ones together and run one line up, and then I'm gonna T the bottom ones and then run one line up. So we are all done with hooking up the wastegates. I try to make it look as neat as possible. It actually looks not that bad, actually. So I did all my connections down here just because I wanted to make it look as clean as possible in the engine bay. So I'll just kind of explain what we did. So port 1 on the boost solenoid goes to the bottom of the wastegate. And so what it is both wastegates to the bottom are connected together, and then it's teed with the turbo, and that's how it gets its vacuum input. And then the top of the wastegate, all it is connected to both wastegates, and then it runs straight up and it goes to port 2 on the boost solenoid. And then of course port 3 on the boost solenoid gets vented to atmosphere. So everything's connected, turbo's connected, wastegate's connected, blow valve's connected. So the only thing left to do right now is just exhaust and gauges. Where I put my boost solenoid is so perfect. So the kit actually comes with a nut and the actual bolt. So what I did was, because there's like some type of clip thing from the factory that gets put right there, these little black things. So what I did was I took one out, and you have access to it once you lift this panel up, and I literally just bolted it in right there. So I didn't have to drill any holes, none of that, and it's just mounted right there. Literally perfect. Like, I'm a sucker for stuff like that. I love when stuff just naturally work like that. Alright guys, so I'm gonna end this video right here. So the next video that we are going to be putting out, we're gonna be doing the exhaust. So when I say the exhaust, if you guys don't know already, when I say we have to wire the exhaust, it's because remember, we have a valve control exhaust from GT Haas. So basically what that means is I'm able to open and close this exhaust. So basically make it either louder or quieter with like the touch of a button. So we do have to wire that up. Still gotta wire that up. So we gotta do that. And we also gotta do the gauges. That's literally all that's left to do on this build. Once we do that, I'll be ordering the base map tune. We'll be installing that. Then of course we gotta put oil in it, coolant in it, power steering fluid, and then wait to get tuned. So tune date for this car is going to be the end of April. So originally we were supposed to get this car tuned in SoCal, but I was thinking about it, and I don't think it's a smart idea to do that, because literally to get this car down there with gas, I would have to rent like a U-Haul with a trailer and hotel. It would cost me a minimum of $1,000, and the thing is, if I go out there and have issues, I'm out $1,000. I don't get that money back. So admin is coming to the Bay Area. The Bay Area is like an hour away from me. I do have AAA. I can literally tow the car out there for free. So that's gonna be at the end of April. So we're gonna order the base map. We're gonna install that. We're gonna install the fluids. Hopefully we're able to drive the car just a little bit with the base map. Not too sure how that's gonna work. And then we'll just wait until the end of April for admin to come to the Bay Area, and then we'll get this car tuned. I waited a year to get this kit. I couldn't wait a couple weeks to get it tuned. So the next video that you guys see on this channel, we will be installing the gauges, and we will be wiring up the exhaust. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Other than that, I will catch you in the next video. Peace out, stay safe, and stay tuned.
No flex, I done dropped a couple bands on this brand new Rolex. I can pop a couple bands on you, girl, you know that. Once she get the poppin', I like way to go. We gon' get it poppin' on the radio. Turned out,